Welcome back. Jason McIntyre and Greg Jennings in for Whitlock and Wiley. Doug Gottlieb is back with us. And we're joined now by former Pro Bowler TJ Houshmandzadeh. Let's move to the NFL, where the drama surrounding the Steelers dominated offseason headlines, from Antonio Brown getting shipped out of town to Big Ben's former teammates putting him on blast in the media. Of course, Big Ben has used his own weekly radio show to put teammates on blast for years, but now, reportedly, the quarterback is unlikely to continue the show this season after all the negative press. Greg, do you think your guy, Big Ben, has taken too much heat for the Steelers' mess?
No, I do not. Woo! And let me say this. I think it's a great decision that he's making to not do the radio show, not continue the radio show. And the reason why I say that is because Ben has always gotten to put himself in a position where he talks too much. He says too much. At his position, at quarterback, knowing what goes, the ins and the outs of the locker room and the game, he tends to say too much, and then we have a way of spinning it the way we want to spin it. Obviously, with what has transpired with Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell, all these guys, anytime you exit, you're going to have things to say. You're going to say a lot that you wouldn't say if you were still in-house. What I do know is that everything that they're saying, it's not always false. There is truth to that. Now, I'm not saying Ben is the only problem, and these guys have not been any of the problem, because they share blame. Ben does not deserve all the blame, but he definitely deserves a lot of the blame that he's getting.
So interesting with the Steelers team. I mean, you know, last year it was, Mike Tomlin's the problem. Can't control the locker room. Now it's Big Ben, okay? No blame for Le'Veon Bell or Antonio Brown. It's interesting how that tends to happen. And Greg, listen, I was never a star athlete going on a weekly radio show. Did Aaron Rodgers go on a weekly radio show? I know Tom Brady canceled his.
What did Le'Veon Bell do?
Le'Veon, what did he do?
Nothing.
I don't know.
What did he do?
Yeah, here we go. Defending Le'Veon Bell.
What did he do?
This is a guy who shows up right before the Jacksonville Jaguars playoff game at the tail end of walkthrough, just casually strolls in. Hey, what's up, guys? Then he decides, I'm going to just sit out the season. He played by his own rules, and that did not go well.
If they would have given him a contract, he wouldn't have signed.
Right, give him a contract. He didn't want the contract.
Why should he want something that he feels is unfair?
Have you ever heard, you guys were in the league a long time. You ever heard offensive linemen turn on one of their own? Have you guys ever heard that?
Not publicly,
Yes.
like it happened with the Steelers.
Okay, yes.
Well, I've heard of it, but not publicly.
Exactly.
Publicly, have you ever heard that?
No.
Right? Because everybody's like, look, I always support you and get more money because you get more money, we all get more money, right? So I don't know what Le'Veon did, but whatever he did, he pissed the guys off that blocked for him. So I'm not going to sit here and defend him, because obviously the guys that should be defending him were not. Now, in regards to Big Ben Roethlisberger, like, if he doesn't have a governor that can control what he says, I guess this is the best option. I also think part of this is like a newer wave of players that are a little bit too in their feelings when they hear something that doesn't sit well with them, right? Like, because and this is to your point, Greg, a lot of times if you listen to him, you listen to the entire context of it, he calls himself out. Hey, I got to be better. He's done that several times over. We all got to be better. And when he points out that somebody ran the wrong route, like, look, I'm just telling you what happened on this particular play, but it doesn't, how it's received in a wide receiver or running back's ears in 2019 might be different than how it was in 2007, just because players now are a little bit more sensitive over how they're being portrayed in the media.
He has to know that when you blame somebody else, how it's going to be received. That's not going to make headlines, I have to be better. We know that. When you don't win and you don't play well, of course you have to be better. But when you don't have to call anybody out. That was the beginning. Does he deserve to take heat? Of course he does, because if he doesn't come out and say what he said after the Denver game, this Antonio Brown situation never transpires and goes this route, ever. You know, we lost the game. We could have done a few things better, Antonio Brown and myself included. That's it. There's not a big deal. But when you attack it the way he did, it makes Antonio Brown feel like you're singling me out, like I'm the lone reason we lost that game. Now it's a problem. And so everything that you've done before that and the things you do after that will be magnified now in my eyes.
So Doug mentioned, where were the defendants for Le'Veon Bell? How come nobody was defending Antonio Brown when he threw a football at Ben's feet and said, I'm out of here, and walks out of practice? Like, I just don't think you can do that and totally be off the hook.
How many players have we heard come out and say negative things about Antonio Brown throughout this whole entire ordeal?
I don't think any other
Zero.
Zero. So that lets me know right then and there what Antonio Brown has chosen to do.
A lot of people that's silent.
Like
means they agree with.
And then when we talk about the Le'Veon Bell issue, the reason why his offensive lineman decided to say something is because now when it really comes down to it, and I want you to play because I'm going to benefit from you. I need you there. So now I'm going to say something, and now you're not returning my phone calls. Now you've completely shut not only the organization off, but now you're shutting us off as players, and I thought we were better than that. Now I'm in my feelings. Now I feel like I need to project and say something else.
Look, I think we're talking about two different topics. I do think the Le'Veon thing comes down to he probably wasn't honest with those guys, right? Is that he told them, don't worry, I'll be back first day of the season. Because at the Super Bowl the year before, he was like, I ain't coming to any of that stuff, but I'll be there first. And then he changes his mind, even though he had a long-term offer, or he could have taken the $14 million. And I think you can lie to anybody else in the world. You can't lie to your boys, right?
Yes.
Because they have your back. I think this with Ben is a reaction to the silence you've heard in terms of a lack of support of Antonio Brown. He's like, look, I hear you, okay? And whether it's the GM saying that I'm the adult and you're the kid, that didn't go over well. Like, let's just bury all the nonsense, stop the social media, I'll stop the local media, and let's get it back together. The Pittsburgh Steelers are trying to win with a culture change. We'll see, because they lost two super, super talented players. Culture only gets you so far. You do need dudes to get open and to make plays.
Absolutely. To another aging QB.